Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and today we're making a £50 NL Skype poker video. It might not be £50 NL for the entirety of the video because we are making this video at 1 AM, which is kind of a time of day where the tables on Skype poker start to break down somewhat. So we might end up closing a table if it breaks, and then depending on where the action is, perhaps adding a 20 NL table or 30 NL table or 40 NL table. So it may not be 50 NL for the duration of the video. Some reads I've got on the players already, and I have only been playing for approximately 5 to 10 minutes, is that Short 1991 on table 1 seems to be quite loose passive. Ludicrous is a mass table in regular. He plays a ton of tables. Pretty nitty. Not excessively nitty, but certainly by no means a lag. Guy Rui, don't really know anything about him. Haven't really seen him doing too much so far. And then we have Mark up there, who's a short stack who's just kind of limped around a little bit and gone all in once. On table 2, we have Bibbo, who is playing somewhat loose passive. Hard to say exactly, but he certainly hasn't made an aggressive action yet, I remember. Whatever this is, F1. He's been somewhat bad aggressive. He's been sitting in and out, in and out. So presuming he's just sitting out again now. Presuming he's just some kind of fishy type player who's, I don't know if he's deliberately sitting out, I don't know if he's just timing out because he's on Facebook, or I don't know if he's just drunk, who knows. But yeah, he's been a bit erratic, shall we say. We're going to see about our pair of kings over here. D21H, or D12H, sorry, is he's certainly been playing a little bit on the aggressive side too. It's a shame he's the wrong side of me, but we can deal with that. I'm going to double barrel here with my kings, a fall to a raise because he's just going to have a 9. Most of the time if he check raises here, and I probably won't be value betting the river if he just calls and checks to me again. And he does just fall, so we'll take that. I'm going to c-bet here against D12. Probably go for a check raise on the turn. Try and set up stacks where it doesn't matter. Try and set up stacks so that we could check the turn, he could bet, and we could shove on him and have him feel committed with a decent amount of his hands. Hopefully we get to isolate Bibbo here. Unfortunately not. I'm just going to min raise with my 8-6. We have 2 loose passive-ish players in the blinds, and I'm not even that fond of just raising 8-6 because when we're playing against loose passive players, we end up going to showdown more. So 8 high isn't exactly a spectacular hand to be going to war with against people who you don't expect to fall too much. But that said, we have the button, we have position, we have a very playable hand, so I think raising it's fine. Well, raising it's more than fine, raising it's completely standard. And yeah, we're just going to, most of the time, we're just going to try and make a hand because we don't expect to be getting people to fold too many made hands. Going to isolate Guy Rui with our ace-9 off. We're going to give ourselves a bit of a problem if Mark had shoved, because it's kind of awkward going for loose isolation when we have somebody sat on such a short stack as Mark is. But that said, we can't allow them to influence our play too much because, I mean, the stack's so irrelevant. We're probably just going to flick it in if we get 3-bet anyway. And clearly now we're just going to hopefully take Mark's money and get on with it. Beautiful. It's a shame it's just a small stack, but bearing in mind we are coming at this from a microstakes player point of view. We've just made 3/4 an hour's wages in one hand. So we're not going to knock it too much. I mean, £7, it's not a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but when our hourly rates maybe going to be £10 per hour, £10 per hour in these games. Making 3/4 of that, just stacking a weak player, is not to be sniffed at. Quite often you'll see players, and I've talked to players and regulars and players like, I haven't seen short open once yet, so I'm still going to 3-bet for value, but I am going to fold to a 4-bet because I'm 3-betting for value with the intention of folding should he 4-bet, because I don't think a player like Short, who's pretty much limped every single hand so far that he's played, is ever going to 4-bet light here. Unfortunately, we haven't got the best of flops. It's so dry. I think we can certainly justify one C-bet here, and I only plan on continuing if I hit an ace on the turn. May check call some small bets on the queen. Let's go back to the point of players that I talk to and players that I coach, other regulars that I just talk to. They frequently leave tables with players like Mark around when they just sat there with 20 big blinds or something, or they've got two players sat on like 20 to 40 blinds. I never do that. This is the real low-hanging fruit that really does bulk our win rate up. It really does improve our win rate, improves our hourly rate. Obviously, if we're improving our win rate most of the time, we're improving our hourly rate too. And yeah, you just need to stick around with those guys. Yeah, of course, they're frustrating. They're just showing you seemingly with any two. It's obviously not any two, but sometimes it can feel that way, and they can be a little bit frustrating. But these guys are bad players, and the guys we're going to make all our money from. We don't make too much money from players like Ludicrous. We don't make too much money from other regulars too. We make all our money from players like Mark and Short. So if you'll excuse the pun, when players like Short get short, we need to be sticking around still, because just picking up 20 blinds pretty easily, pretty regularly, is going to be huge for our long-term profitability. So don't like, turn your nose up at it. We're not going to be c-betting this Queen 8-9 board, sorry, Queen King 9 board on this table, and Optimist has pretty much just made that a redundant point anyway by donking into me, which is fine. We don't mind that when we've got nothing. Well, not nothing, we had a pair of 8s, but it's just nothing in that board. Now, one thing I'm not going to do in this video and any subsequent videos that I make on Sky is give too many reads away about the regulars that I play against, for obvious reasons. It's a very small player pool. There's maybe a pool of 10 to 15 regulars, maybe a few more, but 10 to 15, maybe 20 regulars, and some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them are aware that I make videos, probably because I stupidly post them to the Skype Poker Forum sometimes, because I'm a vain bastard who wants more hits on my YouTube channel, which could be foolish of me, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. When you're a seasoned one punter like me, you're not getting to too many spots against regulars anyway, so I'm not giving too much away by making these videos, but what I'm not going to do is give away any reads that I have. I mean, I don't mind saying player X is on the tighter side, I'll play it wise on the looser side, but I won't be giving away any reads I feel I have on them outside of his loose, his tight, his whatever. Hopefully that won't detract from the quality of the videos too much. It's very rare I talk about specific players anyway in any of my videos, so can't see it being too much of a problem. So now Mark's got a full stack with the new able to play some more pots versus him. If when he had his £7 stack, we just couldn't have opened the 8-6 suited. Just isn't something we could have done. Now he's playing a full stack, we can open the 8-6 suited, as we talked about earlier, with a degree of confidence. No need to see bet this board. We're not going to get a bet hand to fold. It would be almost impossible to get value apart from maybe some cut shots and push draws. So we're just going to try and check our hand a couple of times, maybe try and hit 2 pair or trips. Otherwise just try and show our hand down. It is a little bit weak tight, but really don't see an awful lot of point in betting on that board. I don't see an awful lot of point of calling on this board either. So we're just going to fold there and not be particularly concerned about being bluffed off bottom pair. Again, I'm not a particularly frequent 3-better at the best of C-better at the best of times, but boards like these against loose passive players are just a complete no-no for me to C-bet. Maybe we show a small profit doing it. I'm not sure. Possibly we could. I don't know enough about shorts. Strategy versus C-bets, but on a not super, but very wet board like that, which we don't know because short's such a loose player. I mean, he might just have only 2 cards there and also completely miss the flop. But then we had no backdoor equity, we just had 2 over cards. So I'm not too concerned there. Just going to check back. We've got decent showdown by the way. There's Queen, and if short, who I believe is going to be a passive player, starts showing some aggression, we're just going to slide the pot to him. The way we make money from short is by making hands and value betting versus him. It's not through bluffing him, it's not through trying to make him fold equity, and it's not through calling anytime we think he's bluffing. Well, obviously we should call if we think he's bluffing, but not by just calling his bets because we've shown weakness. We're just going to be patient, and we're going to try and make some hands against him, we're going to try and value bet well against him. Not a huge fan of completing with hands as we can jack 9 off, but we have 2 clearly bad players in the pot. I think it's absolutely fine. If ludicrous raises, we can have a super easy fold. I'm going to mark these players now because they're clearly both weak players in my note system. Green is, I don't like using the word, but green is fish. I'm going to mark Bibbo also as a loose passive fish. I'm not going to try and isolate with the 6-10 or suit. We're going to mark Optimist. Hard to say with Optimist. He's been a little bit aggressive, but he's still a fish. It's just which particular fish tag he gets. I really don't want to play this pot multi-way, so we're going to make a big isolation race on a small blind. We pick the pot up. It's not an ideal result. I would have preferred 1 caller, but that said, anytime we just pick up the pot up without any resistance, it can never be a bad thing. So we'll take it. D12H. He's the least fishy of the 3 fish because at least he's somewhat aggressive. But I'm still going to give him the green tag for now, but I'm going to put a note code, oops, excuse me, typo, the aggressive, just so next time I come up against him, I don't take the green tag for exactly what it normally is, which is loose passive. This is sitting out, which I'm never going to complain about when the regular sits out and leaves me short-handed with 2 players that I feel have a significant edge over. I'm presuming he's just going to be sitting out because he's timed out, because he does play a heck of a lot of tables. Not sure how it's possible he's sitting actively leaving. Maybe he's finished his session for the evening. Hopefully this table won't break. But I suspect it might. I know it's only one blind more, but we really can't justify calling any kind of raise with 9-4 off there. It's clearly a totally missable hand. Again, I don't particularly want to play this hand multi-way, but with this table being pot limit, it means I can't make the raise size that I wanted to make. But anyway, it works out. I probably should have said that at the start. This table is a pot limit game. Anytime you can play in a pot limit hold'em game, which is going to complete here because both players are bad and they'll probably let me do it. Anytime you can play in a pot limit pot limit hold'em game, by the way, you should take it. They are infinitely softer than no limit games, just because some regulars just won't play them. So any games that are less reg intensive are clearly going to be good for our bottom line. When I start tables on Sky, unfortunately pot limit only goes at 50 now, up to the limit I play. There's no 30 pot limit games, so there's no 20 pot limit games, for example. But whenever I get a chance to open a pot limit table, I usually take it because, well, for the reasons of what you said, they're just way softer. So we have a really good situation now. We have two tables where we just have 5 different fish to ourselves. All we need to do now is make some hands, and then we can hopefully just print some money. And again, I'm not going to try and be making too many moves on these guys. There's just no reason to. When we're at tables with lots of bad players, we can play incredibly exploitably. We can throw a lot of what we normally do completely out of the window. We don't have to worry about balance. We don't have to worry about protecting our ranges, anything like that. It's just irrelevant. It becomes a complete irrelevance, and we just play solely for value. And then just look to bluff in some spots where we feel that we can get away with the bluff. Against Mark here, I think there's a good chance we're going to be behind, but we have so much equity, we're just going to have to get it in. Although I do believe there's a very good chance we're going to be behind here. And we are, unfortunately, but we stuck out, which we're not going to complain about because that's part of poker. I mean, there's not much else we can do there. It really is somewhat unfortunate for Mark. But I mean, we've got an overpair and an open-end straight draw against a player who's really quite bad there. And yeah, as I said beforehand, there was always going to be a good chance we were going to be behind. But even allowing for the fact we're going to be behind, we've got way too much equity there to ever consider doing anything other than just get all the money in. And unfortunately for Mark, we got there. So now we're going to play heads up. You're going to get to see just how awful Reggie Times heads up game is. And it really isn't good. But it doesn't need to be good against bad players. So hopefully we can not make too much of an idiot of ourselves. And I can't believe I just referred to myself in the third person. Disappointed about that. Yeah, and I apologise for it. Because there's nothing more irritating. I'm going to value bet my ace king here against short. This is not a c-bet as a bluff. I actually want to be called. Yeah, maybe we can definitely call with some worse hands. Obviously we don't mind him folding because we still only have ace high, but nevertheless. You won't see me opening too many buttons here. anything playable. I'm going to open play, but I think things like 6-9 off. We're just going to fold it. Obviously Queen 8's too strong to fold, so we're going to open that. I'm going to check back here once again short, and then I'll probably bet turn and bet river if he checks both times. It's particularly on that turn card. I mean, if he leads out, we're just going to fold, but otherwise we're just going to make a bet. Question I ask myself is now is, do I have enough showdown value? And I don't think I do. But am I going to get him to fold an ace or a jack? Probably not. So I'm going to, if the turn hadn't been an ace, if the turn had been another card, I would have gone for a double barrel. But when we get called on an ace on that board, it's kind of like, what am I trying to get him to fold on the river that called the turn? He's not folding a jack more than likely because he's a fish. He's not folding a 6 and he's not folding an ace. So King Queen is literally the only hand that I could make him fold there. And when that's the only hand we can make him fold, there's not really that much point in making the bet. And then I guess we can get him to fold some 10 highs too if he has them, but it seems unlikely he's calling the turn with 10 high. We're going to see how he responds to C-bets. I'm not just going to assume that he's a calling station that's never folding to them. I'm just going to complete again because we can get away with it. And this is not in any way the correct way to play heads up for the record. My heads up game is not even close to being good. But against players like Short, it doesn't need to be good because we're just gonna be able to beat him anyway. I wouldn't particularly go out of my way to play heads up against anyone who's even close to competent. Even if I thought I had a small edge, I'm probably going to pass it up because I'm not that bothered about heads up battles in general. Can't be bothered getting into all the egos of it and such. If we're playing somebody like Shorty who's super passive and isn't going to give me any problems whatsoever, he's just going to let me go about chopping him down, I'll do it. If I'm going to be playing against aggressive heads up players, unless they're super bad aggressive, I'm probably just going to pass up the opportunity and just try and find a table with that we have got here with a couple of fish kicking on it. You might not like that. You might think that's whatever you want to think it is, cowardly, unethical, whatever. I don't really care what you think it is. I play poker primarily, well, not primarily, almost exclusively to make money. And that is it. I don't play it really that much for pleasure. I do get pleasure from playing, but if all I was doing was playing poker for pleasure, I wouldn't do it. I'd find some other game that I enjoyed more that didn't potentially cost me money. I play purely to make money, to help keep myself in my part-time job and have an easy life. So yeah, I'm not going to be going out of my way to get into too many battles with players who I feel I don't have a particularly large edge against. But as this video is now being, it's somewhat done because we only got one table of heads up. I'm probably not going to go much longer in the video. We're approaching 25 minutes anyway, so that's kind of my stock length of time now for my videos. So I'm going to knock it on the head pretty soon. I hope you've enjoyed it. We got to suck out, which is nice. Start value betting my 6-7 here, and we got to talk about playing against bad players. I'm going to keep value betting my 6-7 because I think I can get called by a 5, flush draws. I'm going to make an exploitable sizing though. Oh, not exploitable, a somewhat exploitable sizing. And we're going to make the easiest fold in the world if we get raised, and we've rivered a straight. So now I think we have a really easy bet fold. He's not going to raise me without a flush here. but you can have lots of worse hands to call with. And he didn't raise, so unfortunately for us, he didn't have very much, but that's life. So yeah, we're going to leave the video here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching a different side, a different style of poker, different types of opponents. Certainly, if you go back and watch my 10NL snap videos, these limits are almost 10 times higher than the 10NL snap videos, and as I'm sure you can see, these games have been probably 10 times softer. So yeah, if you are struggling with your poker, do get in touch with me and start to learn the ways of the game selector, because in my opinion, it's a better way to go about your poker if you're just a recreational, lowish volume player. So we'll play this hand out just in the interest of whatever the word I'm looking for is, closure, shall we say. I'm not going to double barrel. I'm just going to give up now against short. He has been folding to some of our bets, so when he does call, I'm just going to get out of his way. I'm just going to fold here and call the video a day. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Take care and goodbye.